There are many of those. And welcome to this Wi-Fi Now feature interview. My name is Klaus Hetting, and I'm the CEO and Chairman of Wi-Fi Now. And today my distinguished guest is Fanny Mlinarski-Miller. And Fanny is VP of Wi-Fi Products at Spirent, and Fanny is also a frequent guest on this program. Fanny, we're super happy to have you. By the way, I should also say Spirent is a Wi-Fi Now partner. We've had them as a partner for many years now. So always super happy to have them. So welcome, Fanny. Good to see you.
Well, thank you, Klaus. It's great to be back with you.
Great. And today we're going to be talking about Wi-Fi 7 and specifically about Wi-Fi 7 testing. So there's a lot going on in Wi-Fi 7. As we know, the standard is pretty voluminous. There's a lot of things happening there. So Fanny, let's get straight into the questions. What are the main challenges in testing Wi-Fi 7, do you think? And I know you brought a few slides and we can pull them up.
Right. So really it's a system level test. And the reason it's a system level test, we in the past used to be able to connect a single radio and measure its throughput. The thing with the Wi-Fi 7 is multi-link operation, MLO. And the way we're getting upwards of 10 gigabit per second throughput is through aggregating it, first of all, on tri-band, and secondly, enabling 4K QAM on each radio. That's 4096 QAM. Mm-hmm. It is amazingly dense constellation. Mm-hmm. And so I do have some slides to demonstrate what we're doing. So this first slide, tri-bands simultaneous, so this is multi-link operation. So you can see we have 3 stations and they are on different bands. So now we have the 6 gigahertz band, the 5 gigahertz band, and the 2.4 gigahertz band. We're driving each radio with 10 gig Ethernet. And now we're aggregating this throughput into the access point, which is also operating on all these 3 bands via 4 antennas. And you can see on each band how much throughput you're getting. So the blue one is 6, red one is 5, and green one is 2.4 gigahertz, and aggregate we get 10 gigabits per second or more. Now, some other really interesting ways to operate the band is because now we have mesh networking. So mesh has a back hole and a front hole. Mm-hmm. And, on the back hole is where we are interconnecting the mesh nodes, and the front hole is where the clients, the stations, are served. And so this amazing technology has a schedule which is frighteningly complex. It enables each of the radios to operate, to basically switch between front hole and back hole in such a way that it's optimum to get aggregate throughput. So that when your front hole requires a client service, it will switch to the front hole, and then on the back hole to get all this traffic through the mesh nodes into the internet or back, it will then switch to the back hole. And all of these radios are doing it. So again, it's coming back to the point, it's a system level test. It is not a single radio. You will not get that kind of over 10 gigabit per second multi-link operation throughput.
So Fanny, it does this on the fly, right? I mean,
it's on the fly. And of course, it's a new technology. It's very, very complex. And how many new complex technologies work out of the gate? 0.
Well, you're so right. It does this on the fly based on what, I mean, in some way it's trying to optimize this, but it's also obviously needs some input for making these decisions. There's all these complications, right?
Exactly. So the test system will have to set up different test scenarios, to your point, with different inputs and see how it behaves in different situations, right? And so this is just a summary slide. This 11BE, obviously that's the IEEE task force that's defining the standard. So we do have also 320 megahertz channels, as you already know, on 6 gigahertz band. Mm-hmm. And so we're getting, on this band alone, we're getting 10 gigabits per second simulated. And on the 5 gigahertz band, we have 160 megahertz channels, so we're getting half that. So together, when we add these two bands up, not even counting the 2.4, we have 15 gigabits per second of simultaneous throughput. This is amazing stuff, Klaus.
This is really amazing stuff, Fanny. And there's a lot of work to do, I think, for everyone in verifying that these things work as advertised. I'm not saying that anyone is trying to cheat us out of anything, but as we know, one thing is theoretical specs and peak speeds and all of these things that we, including myself, we love to brag about that. But another thing is to actually verify that these things that work in practice. I mean, is it, and that's what you guys have been doing with these setups, right?
Well, exactly, right. So obviously, science marches on, and we have more and more complex, more and more efficient networks every new generation, every few years come out. And the chipset vendors have amazing scientists who are working very hard, but of course they're also rushing to market. We got to get out there. Some of the functionality gets developed a little bit later, but it's not always clear right from the marketing literature what's actually working and what's coming and bugs. And so for the operators endeavor to upgrade to the new standard, they need to understand what they actually have.
Right. And I could not agree with you more. And I think this is imperative. And also, in general, for the success of the Wi-Fi industry, to make sure that these things are real, because it would not be good for anyone to get stuff out there, be it an ISP or whomever, or a device vendor, whomever, that is not up to spec, right? And has issues with it. So I commend you for doing all this great work. By the way, the setup that you just showed us, the first slide, that's an actual Spirent test setup, correct?
That's right. We actually have a flexible test bed called the Octabox, and we can set up, a 3-node mesh very easily. We can set up more and more nodes if we need to, and we have a way of sending traffic through any one of these nodes or stations. We have really sophisticated traffic to it.
So as you said, it's a system level test, because if you don't do the system level test, you don't trigger, shall we say, all the inherent complexity in Wi-Fi 7, and that's the value, a lot of the value, right? For Wi-Fi 7.
That's exactly it. Yeah, the Octabox is a system level platform. It's completely isolated. It's controllable. The traffic is controllable. And while we control the environment, we can also add interference, multipath, and traffic, but we can also monitor. So we have sniffers. We have distributed sniffer functionality called SynchroSniffer. They're synchronized. So we can see what the whole system is doing. There really isn't a platform like that outside the Octabox.
Right. And so who are your clients and who should be interested in this? I'm kind of thinking everybody. I mean, the ISPs obviously will want to know that whatever it is that they're planning to roll out, whether it's 6E or in this case 7, at some point into the homes of millions and millions of people, right? That's got to work. And under a boatload of different conditions as well, because we also know that the homes are getting very complicated as far as not just from the ISP side, but from people bringing in all kinds of devices into the home and all of that, right? So the ISP side is big for you, right?
That's right. ISPs are definitely customers. They're at the top of the supply chain, and then their suppliers are also customers. So equipment manufacturers and chipset manufacturers and test labs are all customers.
Oh, right. Also
it's an ecosystem. And then the industry benefits from having a standard platform because they can reproduce, let's say an ISP, AT&T, found some behavior that they want examined. They can call Broadcom or Qualcomm and say, hey, guys, can you reproduce it and take a look at it? So that helps the industry to have a powerful platform where you can set up a system test, where you can set up SynchroSniffing and really figure out what's going on and get to the bottom of it quickly.
Right. So do you provide, and my guess is the answer is yes, you provide guidance or standard setup, so to speak, for your configuration, so that when people get involved with you guys and say this is the test system we want, they come with some of the setups that you just showed on the slides, perhaps already.
Yes, we do. We have standard configuration. Stack max is the maximum. I suspect that's what will be needed to properly test 547. But we have stack mid, which is a subset of stack max, and we have stack min, which is a subset of stack min and stack max. So there are subsets. They can be upgraded later on if you get a smaller system.
Very good. So, Fanny, what is your advice to all the folks out there? I mean, we've seen the first AP launches. I think TP-Link launched a boatload of new APs just a couple of weeks ago, and there's now some speculation, most of it emanating from myself, I think, that we will see the first smartphones that are Wi-Fi 7 capable probably will launch at Mobile World Congress next year. So that's only months away. So it seems, the Wi-Fi 6E train has been running for a long time. It's still going. There's a lot of excellent activity there. That's for sure going to be adopted in the market. Wi-Fi 7 has started. And what should people out there do? I mean, are we already behind? Do they need to catch up? There's a lot going on, right?
Well, complexity is our friend. We've always marched forward with our technology, right? I think it's exciting. I think to your point, the big wild card is the clients.
Yes.
And there are older clients and newer clients, and the operators don't control what the software is running on these clients. Yes. So those are going to be the hundreds, maybe thousands of test scenarios, testing with the different client devices. And actually it's the mesh, it's the access points and the mesh software that has to handle them. So we don't have to rely on the guy who wrote the driver for any odd client or maybe an old PC. We have to be able to handle them. The folks who make mesh systems have to be able to handle them and test their software.
So you're getting a lot of requests from folks that are saying, help, we're doing Wi-Fi 7. I don't know what's going on. We need some knowledge here. Are you getting those kinds of requests? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Every single customer wants to know our roadmap for Wi-Fi 7. And of course, we're on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are very active at the Wi-Fi Alliance and the IEEE.
Yes. Very, very good. Well, I'm delighted to have you as always, Fanny. I hope we didn't disturb your Thanksgiving preparations too much. So anyway, and I hope you get to take some time off anyway as well, because I know you guys are working super hard, like everybody is in the Wi-Fi industry these days. So much going on. But thank you so much for coming on, and definitely come back and see us again. All right.
Well, likewise, Klaus. Thank you for having me. I'm delighted always to talk to you, and thank you for the Thanksgiving greeting.
It's a pleasure.
We're ready for that turkey now.
All right. Okay. Thanks so much.